At this stage, we're thinking about how this is different to one-point perspective. So essentially, this one will have two vanishing points, but everything else will be the same. So okay. And when you're thinking about these two lines, they always need to be parallel. Think about whenever you're drawing this and you see your drawing and it looks a little bit not in proportion or not in perspective in this case, then that means some of your lines or one of your lines in your drawing is not following these rules, okay? So we know that the projection line always goes back to a vanishing point. So I'm just going to sketch out what I mean by this. You guys would use a pencil and use a ruler to draw a straight line, but here I'm just making a quick demo just to give you an idea. So here I've got my horizontal line, okay, and I'm going to add my two vanishing points at both ends. Now once I've got these two down, the next thing I need to do is add my vertical line. So in one point perspective, we would usually draw the 2D shape first, but in 2 point perspective, we need to add the vertical line in, okay? A small building, a small apartment block or something like that. So again, we will just add our projection lines, and that again goes towards the vanishing point, okay? And this one goes from here to that point as well, okay? And if I was to draw a cube shape that's below this horizontal line, this horizon line, I will need to add my projection line first. So you do need to add quite a few projection lines first before drawing in the shape, just to give you an idea. And I'm going to start adding some vertical lines in. Now when I'm adding vertical lines, remember it must always be parallel to this line here, because that's a vertical line. So I need to join this up using this point, and this will go back to that vanishing point at that side. Obviously, when you're doing this, you can use a different colored pen to draw the projection line. So in this case, I've used a pink pen to draw my projection line. This really helps me to not get confused with all the lines that I'm drawing. Now I can add buildings and windows along here and doors along here. So if I was to do that, I will need to add projection lines to make sure that's in perspective. So for instance, if I add, let's say this is quite a small building, remember anything that's closer to you, so here this is closer to the viewer, that means this needs to be bigger. So that's why it's really important to add projection lines, okay? And then I'm just going to do the same along here and join it with these 2 points, so that way it's all kind of symmetrical from one side of the building to the other side. Now if I want to add doors, obviously I need to make sure this line, this vertical line that I'm about to draw, is parallel. So for instance, I'm going to draw my door here and making sure that's all parallel to one another. And again, I follow this projection line like so. Yeah, that will be my door, for example. Now, if I want to add windows, I will need to follow these projection lines, because remember, anything that's close to me needs to be bigger. Anything that goes towards the distance will become smaller. So let's say we add a couple of windows here. So make sure, because I'm adding vertical line, that needs to be parallel to that. And I would measure it just to make sure that the windows that you're going to draw in is going to be the same size all the way through. So you can make a mark, and again, vertical line needs to be parallel to this. So make sure you check and measure if that helps, because I find that measuring will help to keep things in perspective. So I'm just going to go back and just correct any lines that doesn't seem to be completely straight, completely parallel to each other. And then again, you just follow this projection line and join the remainder of the window. So a lot of the time students make mistake by just drawing the windows like this, okay? And why it's wrong is because it's these two lines needs to actually follow the projection line. So essentially this will be wrong. The correct way is this way, where you actually follow the projection line like so, and that again is the correct way, and that would need to be drawn like this, not like this. Okay, right, so that's one way of showing you a building. Right, okay, to draw a building without seeing the roof, you need to make sure your projection line is above the horizon line. Started on here. So let's say I never included this and I want to add a high rise, for instance. So I'm just going to follow these vertical lines that I've already created. Any projection line that goes past the horizon line, you need to go in upward motion and making sure it goes back to your vanishing point. So I'm just going to give you a quick example. Let's say I want to add a couple more windows.